Good morning, YouTube. It's your favorite Detroit therapist, Ashley the therapist. Um, I'm back with another video. I'm trying to be consistent with this, trying to stay on track. Bear with me. I know once a week in internet world is probably like the equivalent to like posting once a year, but that's the best I got right now. So anyway, let's get started with today's theme or this week's theme, I'll say, is one that comes up a lot in therapy, especially because I do couples counseling quite a bit. And a lot of what comes up in relationships, and that's across the board. We're talking about work relationships, we're talking about job relationships, like manager and employee relationships, or even co worker relationships. We're talking about friendships, and that is manipulation. This is a thing, man. The manipulation umbrella casts pretty wide, and so it's a pretty broad word, but there are a lot of nuances under the umbrella of manipulation. We've all experienced it at one point or another, whether it's we were the manipulators, whether we've been manipulated by others, whether we are continuing to be manipulated by others, whether we are not sure what manipulation looks like or we don't know if we're doing it or not. And the thing is, everybody's capable of manipulation, even like little kids and stuff. So if little kids can do it and master it and do it easily, what do you think adults are doing on a regular basis? You know what I'm saying? You got to keep it real about this stuff. We're all capable of it. I've been a perpetrator of manipulation before in different ways. Not nothing that I'm proud of. But before I knew how toxic it was, I used to do it. And I still probably do sometimes. But I'm trying to be a lot more intentional about not continuing to perpetuate that behavior because it's unhealthy. It's toxic. Manipulation is rooted in control. So if somebody is being manipulative, it's because they have this innate need to control, whether it's that situation or just control, period. Some people really thrive when they feel like they're in control, of any given situation, of people, whatever the case may be. So anyway, we'll go deeper into that, and why people incorporate manipulation, why it's so normal, why people use it so frequently, where people started from, or what that's rooted in. A lot of times it's trauma, it's insecurities, it's all kind of things. So anyway, manipulation is the act of doing things that are unhealthy to control a situation. So that could be things like gaslighting. I know we've been hearing that a lot across the internet. Some people don't use it correctly. I got to correct my clients all the time about the proper ways to use the word gaslighting because it should not be thrown in for everything, but gaslighting is a form of manipulation. The purpose of gaslighting is to get you to question your own reality, your own world as you see it. So for example, somebody might say something like, um, I don't know, remember last time at the Christmas party you said that you hated me, and I told you I hate you too, and they're like, that never happened, knowing good and well it happened. Now I could see if it's truly and genuinely like a difference in perception on how any particular situation went. Sometimes that's a thing, but a lot of times people will just gaslight you because they know that you care about them or hold a lot of value or weight into what they say or what they think, that they can get you to question your own thoughts and your own beliefs. um, so anyway, let me know what specific questions you have about gaslighting in the comments. And listen, y'all better get to interacting with me in the comments if y'all like this content. Because if y'all don't get to interacting with me in the comments, I'm gonna assume you're not liking this content, okay? And then I'm gonna feel like at some point it's not worth it to continue to do this content I get everybody's not always the most vocal, and some people are shy. But come on now, y'all. Y'all behind a computer, or y'all are on your phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if your picture is on your profile, but if you were brave enough to put your picture on your profile for YouTube, then I'm sure you can get the courage to say, hey, girl, I like your content. Or, hey, girl, I need to know XYZ about manipulation, or tell us more details about some of your personal experiences, because I just want to know what stuff you've been through. Like, come on now, y'all. Like, interact a little bit more with me so I can know that y'all are really engaged, or so that I can get a little bit of feedback on how to master this online internet presence, because I'm still new to this kind of, like, don't get me wrong, like, I watch people's content, but I have not mastered streaming, or like uploading good content, or editing, or how to catch people's attention, because the stuff that I'm talking about is important stuff for mental health, and just for healthy habits and things like that, and helping you guys to remember that therapists are people too, and most of us should be working on this stuff that we're encouraging our clients to practice. So if we not working on this stuff, it's a problem. If we just telling y'all to work on it and we not working on it, it's a problem. Because we're already coming out the gate being hypocritical, and that's a toxic trait too. So anyway, get the courage to say something if you watching it. If you didn't watch this video from beginning to end, that means you was engaged, because most of these videos are like almost 30 minutes. Well, I've only done two, but the couple that I've done are like pretty much around close to, or more or less than, about 30 minutes. And if you on here watching this for 30 minutes, and I didn't kept your attention for 30 minutes, whether it's you just looking at my face, or or you listening to me, or you vibing with my personality, or whatever it is, and you've been on here for a whole 25, 30 minutes, you like this content. Stop playing and just go ahead and engage with me, because I'm a person. That's the whole purpose of this, y'all. Like, I'm a person. I'm not no AI. Like, I live every day. I talk to people. I'm going to respond. Now, listen, I didn't check any of the comments from the last video, so if I didn't respond, it's just because I didn't check it yet, but I absolutely will respond. Now, if I start to get up to thousands and thousands of comments, then yeah, no, I'm not probably not gonna be able to respond like that. But come on now, y'all. I'm getting like 50 views a video, so I can respond to these comments. I'm still at the point where I can interact with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Take advantage of this opportunity to talk to a real licensed therapist. Now, like I said, I can't give you no therapy advice. You know what I mean? I can't give you any advice about how to, I can't provide therapy via YouTube. But if you just want a little bit of information about, like, say for example, what are some ways people manipulate, or if you want to know my experiences with manipulation, let me know specifically what you want to know. So one particular, for me, comes to mind, when I was a young teenager, and I was working technically it was my second job, because my first job was a shampoo girl at a hair shop. Now, back in the early 2000s, I think that was a lot of young girls' first jobs, as a shampoo girl. Basically, a shampoo girl is when you work in a hair salon, and the stylist hires you to wash everybody's hair. You will blow dry it for her. You would pretty much prep the clients before they get to the stylist chair, to be washed, blow dry, detangled, all that kind of stuff. So that was my first job. But my second job, to me, felt like a more real job, because it was like, I don't know, it was more affiliated with a corporation. So my second job was a job at J.C. Penney, y'all. Now, I don't know what legalities are around there, but it was J.C. Penney. Okay, it was here in Michigan. It was if you know anything about the Metro Detroit areas, at 12 Oaks Mall. You know the 12 Oaks Mall, Tail 12, whatever you call it. That was my first what felt like to me real job. So I was on payroll, I was on W-2, I was 18 years old. Okay, I had this supervisor, and she was a Caucasian lady. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't got nothing against white people, but in this case, I felt like that was something that she used to help her manipulate me in this situation. Okay, so I'm gonna get into detail now. I might not get through this whole story today, but I'm gonna try my best to get to as much as I can because listen, y'all, I'm working today, so a client could be coming in any minute. But so listen, I'll be trying to fit these videos in. So anyway, this lady at JCPenney, I'm not gonna say her name, even though I do remember it. She had to be, I don't know, maybe she was in her 30s or 40s. She had young children at the time. I was 18. This was my first job. I had just gone through the training. It was a obviously y'all know JCPenney is a retail job, and so she just used to talk to me crazy, and I used to think I was going crazy. She would say things to me like that were really like what I felt was mean, but it technically wasn't mean, and so I couldn't understand why it was creating an emotion for me, like why I was upset about it because it's like, well, technically she's your supervisor, she's your boss, and she's supposed to tell you what to do, and she's supposed to give you orders or talk to you in a way that you would maybe understand. I don't know. But it was really bothering me. And I'm like, I'm not no weak ass bitch. Like, why am I upset? Like, it would be times where I will almost come to tears. And mind you, I'm an 18-year-old girl. And I've never been no weak ass bitch. So excuse my language if you just I did put on here that this is not a video for kids, but so yeah, this is mostly for adults. So anyway, I'm always I was thinking like I'm not no weak ass bitch. Why is this lady able to upset me to the point where I'm almost on the brink of tears? I'm like I done been through all the ghetto girls in school and all the kids in the hood. Like why would this lady be able to get to me like that? So, um, back then I did not know it was manipulation, but she would say things. She would say things that were underhandedly critical, like question my intelligence. So mind you, this was my first job. I don't even think I was there for a week before she started talking to me crazy like that. And I don't know if it was a racial thing. I don't know if she looked down on me because I was a young girl of color, and she was an older lady and she was white, but and I'm not gonna assume that connection, but I'm not gonna also act like that's not a thing that exists in America either. But I'm just not sure. So anyway, she would say things to me like, she would say things like, I told you to do blah 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 blah. Do you understand instructions? Like it's things like that. And it will be things that she will maybe tell me to do, and I've never done it before, or I've never been shown before, so maybe I didn't do it to a T, but I'm new, you know what I'm saying? So in my mind I'm thinking like, wait, can I, I'm sure I can understand instructions. I never had any complications in school, like, but she would say things to me like that would really make me question myself and question my abilities and question my intelligence. And so that is a form of gaslighting. Not only is that gaslighting, that's criticism. Like that's an underhanded criticism where you basically insulting my intelligence without directly saying you stupid. So it would be things like that, and she would do stuff like that all the time to the point where I decided to leave her department. Now listen, y'all might start putting two and two together if y'all know me personally, or if y'all have worked there with me and y'all just happen to come across this video. But I was in the home department, and this was back in like 2009 or something like that. Yeah, because it was right after I graduated high school, so around 2009. And I was working in the home department, and she would get to me, and I had this black lady supervisor. Black ladies always gonna come to the rescue, ain't they? Especially for young little girls, they gonna always come to your rescue. And I am gonna say her name. It was this black lady supervisor. Her name was Miranda. She saved the day, y'all. She comforted me in a way that I cannot explain. I cannot explain. She validated me. She assured me that, hey, listen, you knew. You're not supposed to know this stuff. If she told you to do something and somebody else told you to do something else, or you didn't do it the perfect way, or you didn't know who was supposed to, who you were supposed to listen to, whatever, that's not on you. You doing the best you can. Like she comforted me and validated me in a way to where I felt like I got my confidence back. Like that lady was trying to crush my confidence. Now I was 18 years old at the time. As a 30, almost 35-year-old woman, you're not never going to be able to crush my confidence like that today. But back then, it was so easy for her to do, and that's because she was able to utilize manipulation on me because I didn't know what manipulation looked like at the time. Um, I did not know what manipulation looked like at the time, and I had no idea what she was doing to me. And so anyway, this black lady, she took me to the big boss. Okay, she took me to the big boss. We had to sit down to let him know what happened with this lady and how it made me feel. And she went in there with me, y'all. She didn't have to do none of this, mind you. She was like she was actually under the other lady. The other lady was a manager. This black lady was a supervisor, which was kind of like one level up underneath the manager. But I don't think that the manager was her boss. She just was a little bit inferior to the manager, but in terms of ranking. But they both answered to the same boss, right? So anyway, she took me to this big boss, and she sat me down with him. She went in there with me. She stayed with me the whole time. I was like a fish out of water because I'm like, dang, I gotta go in here and talk to all these white people. I'm like a young girl from Detroit. I don't know left from right yet, and I got to go sit down here and talk to all these white people that have been used to corporations and running things and being managers and manipulating people on a regular basis. And I got to go in here and interact with them. And I had to learn a lot of stuff the hard way. It was a lot of learning lessons, but that was one of my first experiences with manipulation. It was a lot of them after that, don't get me wrong, and still to this day, like, people try it. I just know it when I see it. So, but it gives you a lot of power to be equipped with the knowledge and understanding about manipulation, what it looks like, how to respond to it, and how to navigate it in those real time moments. So I'm hoping that this will help y'all in some kind of way realize that obviously this situation was way before I became a therapist. I was still in undergrad, barely starting my gen ed classes. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I had no idea about anything that I know now as a practicing therapist. So, um, it was a lot of stuff I just had to experience in order to be able to relate to people when they're going through manipulation. And I just really hope that this helps you guys as we talk about this more, because manipulation is such a broad topic that we're going to need to talk about it a few times. And I'm going to give y'all some additional examples of times when I've been victim to manipulation, and I'm going to be vulnerable and honest about times where I've been a manipulator. It's not my finest moments, but I got to keep it real. That, like I said, this channel is about authenticity. So I'm not ready to do it on this video, but I'll do it here on one of these videos soon, where I'll open up about ways that I've intentionally used manipulation to control a situation. Like I said, I'm not proud of it. It's not my finest hour. And in these days, I'm really trying to be intentional about not incorporating manipulation. And sometimes it's hard because it can become like your go-to if you've been doing it for so long. So it's very important to be intentional about not doing it once it's become a habit. So I'll get to that stuff too in future videos. I'm trying to keep these a little shorter. I'm starting to feel like 25-30 minutes is a little bit too long in this culture where we want everything super quick, super fast. We can only hold things, so certain things can only hold our attention for short periods of time. So I'm going to try to keep these videos to 20 minutes or less, so you can get the gist of the messages that I'm trying to explain, but still being able to keep you guys' attention. So anyway, I will be back next week with another video. We'll continue to talk about manipulation. I'll be open about my experiences with being manipulative in different ways. And just to make sure y'all understand, manipulation, a person who incorporates manipulation does not always equal to be a narcissist. That is a trait of narcissism in ways, but because you incorporate manipulation does not mean you're automatically a narcissist. There are certain criteria that you have to meet to be diagnosed as a narcissist. Y'all gotta stop calling everybody a narcissist. Everybody does not meet criteria to be a narcissist, even if they are manipulative in different ways. So stop jumping to using that word narcissism or narcissist or narcissistic or whatever y'all use, and stop doing that because y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Just simply put, you're not an expert in narcissism, even though how a person makes you feel is heavy and that's valid, but that don't mean you get to diagnose them as a narcissist. Okay, so stop that. My clients practice that. I try to encourage them to stop doing that. But um yeah, stop calling your partner a narcissist. Stop calling your best friend a narcissist. Stop calling your boss a narcissist because you don't know the criteria for narcissist. And even if you did, you don't know all the circumstances around manipulation, and you're just not the expert. So I would say stop labeling people, because you wouldn't want nobody to label you based on moments in your life that were just not your finest hour. So anyway, try to stay away from that term, and just call the behavior out for what it is. If it's manipulation, just call it manipulate. Say the behavior, label the behavior, don't label the person. Okay, so start there, and that might help you with pinpointing examples of manipulation too. So anyway, I'll, at the next video, I'll talk more about manipulation. I don't know if it's the next video or the video after that. I'm going to get into ways that I practice manipulation. I got to pinpoint a specific moment because there have been multiple times that I've done it in relationships and all kind of stuff. So I'm not proud of it. Now today, the changed therapist version of me is really trying to get out of the habit of that, and I'm hoping and I think that I'm making pretty good progress with that. So anyway, this video's theme, or this week's theme, was focused on manipulation. I gotta go, and I will see y'all really, really soon. All right, bye.